Begin. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya tuvaidyakena yopakarattam pravarang muninam patanjalim pranjaliranutosmi. Now, last time there were some questions after the class, because there are some people who are confused with the question of Uttama Purusha described in the Gita and this Purusha of the Sankhya and Yoga system. Now, to clear up this, you see, the idea of the Purusha in the Sankhya Yoga, if you remember that we have discussed last time that ordinary people, they have this Sukha Dukkha due to attraction repulsion system. Certain times, of course, it is also true that you may not have attraction repulsion, you are indifferent. So, but most of the time you are in Sukha Dukkha system. So when you are able to find that this Sukha Dukkha there is in your buddhi, which is a part of the mind, and they are not really attached to you as you think them to be, then with this idea, when it is firmly grounded in you, it is you have this apavarga. So this Gita's I am talking of the 15th chapter of the Gita. There is a idea of Davimo Purusha Uloke Ksharaschaksharevacha. There are in this world two Purushas. One is the changeful, another is the unchangeful, eternal. Now, then again, it is being said, Zasmat Ksharad Atitoham Aksharad Apichuttama Atasmi Loke Vedecha Prathita Purushottama. Since I am beyond the changeful Purusha and higher than the unchangeful one, so in this world and in the Vedas, I am known as the Purushottama, the Uttama Purusha. That is the concept. Now, how to match this idea with this Sankhya system? So, ordinary Kshara Purusha will be the person who is enjoying positively or negatively. That means having Sukha or Dukkha. Then the immutable one, the Purusha, that is when you have Apavarga. That means you have understood that the Sukha Dukkha is in your buddhi and there is another entity in you which is not connected with this. So when you have this idea very firm, then you have Apavarga. But Sankhya Yoga has also talked about Ishvara. Ishvara is your the one which has been described as Vishesha Purusha, who is not affected by your these kleshas and their consequences, jati, ayu, bhoga, etc., and who can help you in your path. That is how yoga system has put it. This is the Uttama Purusha. This Ishvara is the Uttama Purusha of the Gita. So having said this, let us now go to this, your chapter from 28 sutra of this second chapter. Yuganga Anushthanat Ashuddhikshaye Jnanadiptir A Viveka Khyate. This is the sutra. Due to the practice of yogangas, yogangas means the limbs of yoga, you have the gradual diminishing of the impurity. That is what is saying, Ashuddhikshaye. So, and how long you have to do it? This Anusthana, this your Yoganga, Jnanadipte Aviveka Khyate, till you have the Viveka Khyati, that means the discrimination which has become very strong and predominant feature of your mind, this discrimination. And due to that, there is Jnanadipti, this real knowledge that begins to shine. So that is what this sutra says. That means the yogangas, they are the cause to the spiritual progress. Now, when you say cause, in the Shastras, they talk about 9 types of causes. One is the cause which is linked to generation. For example, due to mind, there is knowledge. That is, the mind is generating knowledge. So this is a kind of cause. Another kind of cause is the nourishing principle. For example, food is the cause of the sustenance of the body. Your body is there because of food. If you take out food for a certain time, the body will fall. Then the manifestation. For example, that is the cause. There's a dark room, you bring in a lamp and you find your object. So that is, you see, that is helping you. So when the sun rises, you see many things. So this is the cause. And then there is a cause related to change. For example, you put rice and water and you give fire to it, this rice will be changed to another, the boiled rice. The ordinary rice will become the boiled rice. So there is a change. So for that, the fire is the reason. Fire is the cause. Then through constant association, you have found between, for example, the fire and the smoke, that there is a constant association between the fire and the smoke. So you have the knowledge of the smoke because we are seeing the smoke. From that, you have the idea that there is fire. So this smoke knowledge gives the fire knowledge. So this is the kind of cause. Then something leading to an attainment or to an attachment or detachment. For example, you in our case the Yoganga. The Yogangas, if you practice these limbs of yoga, it will lead to Viveka Khyati. That means the Viveka will be very strong and powerful, and it will begin to shine even. And at the same time, these Yogangas will take away Ashuddhi. What is Ashuddhi? Impurity. Impurity is your avidya. Then the kleshas and the samskaras. This is the impurity in the mind of man. So that is, you see, so here in this case, since it is leading to, so it is called karana. Because karana is your related to karana. That means that something is instrumental in producing something else. So in that case, you call karana. You see, karana is related to karana. So here, the karana is your Yoganga practice of the yoga limbs. So now, what are the yoga limbs that will be discussed in the next sutra? Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhayo, ashtangani. Now, these are the 8 limbs, you see, which are yama, niyama, asana, etc. Now, when they say limbs, that means it is not that these are stages, that one after another. Yes, the first 5, they are not certainly stages. You can practice them and should practice them simultaneously. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, you can do it. You see, same time, that is same period. And dharana, dhyana, samadhi, they are really stages. You cannot go to samadhi without having dharana. You see. So dharana is, we shall discuss it one by one. Now, yama, the word yama means something. Yama means controlling. Literally it means controlling. So, and now it is being used as a technical word in the Yoga Shastra. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, Yamaha. Now, ahimsa is literally it means absence of himsa. Himsa means the desire to kill. Literally it means that. But ahimsa is, in the Yoga Shastra, it is much more than that. It is you by your word, your speech, by your thought, you do not try to harm anyone. You see, more than you see, just avoiding killing, it is much more than that. Among the great religions of the world, Jainism goes to the extreme of doing this ahimsa. So much so that they keep Jain sadhus especially, they keep something in their pit to drive away mosquitoes. They're very attentive when they're walking, say, which animals, which insects are there. They eat before dusk, lest you see some animals should, insects should come and mingle with your food. So like that, they're very attentive, you see, in all these things. And in the Jain religion, there is also a system that there is a day marked in the year when you send letters, etc., to your friends and acquaintances, relatives. If by my word, by my attitude, I have offended you in any way, you see, please excuse me, etc. So the idea of it has gone very deep into them. But one should remember also, it is Swami Vivekananda who pointed out again and again, and he is the only great Indian who has done it, see, saying that this ahimsa has done some harm to the society. How? He says, you see, I am trying to, you see, in his writing it is there, in his lectures it is there. So from his writing, I am translating, you see, into English. He's saying, ahimsa is a correct doctrine, and absence of malice is indeed a big expression. But the scriptures of the Hindus declare that since you are a householder, if someone gives a slap on your cheek, you should return it 7 times. The Buddhists were confused precisely on this point and made all this harm to our society. So what does it mean? He means that, see, he hints at Emperor Ashoka, who by enforcing vegetarianism and by making the army inactive, see, passed on a legacy to our country, because of which India faced, say, huge amount of invaders who trampled on us, who killed civil population, etc. So, you see, and normally it is taken that it is something like in 500 years, more than 200 million civil population were annihilated by the advance of the Muslim hordes from Pacific to Atlantic. And 1/3 of the bloodshed was on Indian soil. And Swamiji knew history very well, so he pointed out to this thing, you see. So ahimsa for the yogis for the sannyasin is one thing, and ahimsa for the civil society should be on another scale. Then it is satya. Satya is a very great thing. If you want to progress in spiritual life, you should stick to the truth. As they say, now truth means, you see, certain times speaking the truth becomes a problem. So the ancient people, they have given us an indication how to do it. They say, Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat, ma bruyat satyam apriyam. Priyanchanan ritang bruyat ishu dharma sanatanaha. That means you speak the truth, you speak what is pleasant, do not speak what is unpleasant. That means even if it is truthful, generally you should not do that. Again, it is being said, Priyanchanan ritang bruyat. To become pleasant, you do not invent lies. So this is the Sanatana Dharma, the eternal Dharma. So that is when something is an unpleasant truth, normally you should keep silence. Only in rare cases you should break the rule. When there is much for example, someone is torturing towards deeds, etc., someone else, then you may break this rule. Asteya. Asteya means non-stealing. It does not mean it's just non-stealing. For a yogi, the question of stealing does not arise. But the question is that you must not covet even. The yogi must not covet. It's as the your Isha Upanishad says, Ma gridha kasyasi dhanam. Do not covet anyone else's wealth. So that is asteya. And brahmacharya is a very great thing. It is normally thought of as non-utilization of the generative organ. That is the normal concept, but it is much more than that. It is a sublimation of libido. And for sublimation of libido, you must be also pure in thought. Now the question arises that how should your householders practice it? The great your teachers of the world, including Sri Ramakrishna, has talked about this problem. He says, Sri Ramakrishna says, after having begotten 2 or 3 children, husband and wife should begin to live like brother and sister. So that is an ideal for if you want to have a spiritual life, a spiritual progress. Because otherwise, your progress will be hampered. You say, this idea of brahmacharya came from India. You see, it entered into Christianity through the Jewish monks who came into existence due to India's influence in Egypt in ancient days. And Jesus and his guru happened to be in the circle of Jewish monks. So from there it came. Normally Judaism, Islam, and the Protestants, they do not normally support it. But though they do not support it, there was an ancient prophet of Israel, Isaiah. You see, in his composition, these lines are there. To eunuchs who keep my Sabbats, who choose what pleases me and hold fast to my covenant, to them I will give within my temple and its walls a memorial and a name better than sons and daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that will endure forever. This is he says that this is the Lord, for this is what the Lord says. In the name of God, he composed this. You see, now, to my surprise, in 2016, this question was raised in an international religious gathering, and a Jewish rabbi, very elderly, he challenged me. And to my surprise, there was another rabbi who supported me. You see, that means this idea is somehow or other is gaining ground, that brahmacharya is necessary, you see, for spiritual progress. And aparigraha means you do not accept gifts which is not necessary for your bare existence. That is the meaning in the context of yogis. That is means aparigraha. For example, you are taking viksha in a place, you're receiving alms, and that is not aparigraha. But even then, they say that you should not fill your stomach by taking food at one home. You must knock at 3 doors. So you see, so that that is the idea. You see, to keep your independence, etc. So you take a little only. This is aparigraha. Now the question may be that what about, for example, Swami Vivekananda and others who collected money? You see, now they did not collect for themselves. All real monks, their all wealth must be for a great cause, for the collectivity, not for themselves. I say, this is the, and they do not have normally attachment towards it. I say, they are not worried about it. There is attachment because to gather money, to keep it, you have to, you have to spend energy. They do not do it. You see, they receive it, you see, as they come, and you have seen. And then those of you who are following my talk on Swami Vivekananda, and that how he was returning money which was not necessary, even though he had a mission to support. Now the next sutra is Jati, Desha, Kala, Samaya, Anavachinna, Sarvabhauma Mahabhratam. Now, when you are practicing this, things, for example, the question of hingsa, etc., there should not be any consideration of jati. That means, for example, if you say that I shall kill that animal but not this animal, you say. For example, many Hindus take meat, of course, male animals, things like goats, etc. But they consider the killing of cow as a sin. So there is some anomaly in this. You see, anomaly in this. That means the question of hingsa. It is always a hingsa. But then, in the case of the Ramakrishna order, Sri Ramakrishna himself and the Holy Mother were of the view that taking a fish may be allowed for sannyasins, only that they should not go to the excess of it, because it is not harmful for their vow of brahmacharya. So they linked with these things. They need, you say, absolute ahimsa is not a part of the core Hinduism. You see, though there are many people who project it as that, it is not like this. You see, you have seen it during my discourses on Vyadha Gita, which is a part of the Mahabharata. So, and Jati Desha Kala, that means if you say that I shall normally do himsa when I am not on pilgrimage. So you are, you see, and when you, if you say that during this month I shall not do any himsa, so should not be like this. It should be, you see, jati desha kala. That in this, what species you are talking about, what country you are talking about, what time you are talking about, you see, etc. It should be irrespective of these things. Then it becomes Sarvabhauma Mahabhratam. That means it is becomes a great vow, and which is for all countries, for all people, for all times. That means these are, if you are, for example, Mahatma Gandhi in his life tried to say give stress on this. I mean, this 30th sutra of the second chapter, he tried in his own way to excel in these things. Now next it comes Shaucha, Santosha, Tapah, Sadhaya, Ishara Pranidhanani Niyama. Now Tapas, Sadhaya, Ishara Pranidhanani, you have seen, these are the Kriya Yoga. Along with that, they're adding Shaucha and Santosha. Shaucha means purity, and Santosha means contentment. Now, Shaucha, if you go to the Bhagavad Gita, Shaucha has been taken as a part of tapas in the Bhagavad Gita, but there it is your it is not according to Yama Niyama, this classification. You will find all these things, but in different categories of tapasya described by the Gita. The tapasya in respect of words, tapasya in respect of the mind, tapasya in respect of the body, you see. Gita is saying. So we find all these things. Shaucha is purity, as I said. Santosha is purity of two types. Purity, normally purity, and the greater purity is the purity of the mind. But the outer purity is also necessary. If your body is filthy, then it will be difficult for you to rise up in yoga. So, tapas, saddha, ishar, pradidhana, we have discussed it earlier. They are called niyamas. So this is niyama, and one should remember this, that yama niyama is not the particularity of the yoga system in any path. You say, you have to do this. That's why certain times the system of Patanjali, it is called certain times Sharanga Yoga, the yoga with 6 limbs. Because yama niyama is almost, you say, in any path you go, yama niyama is necessary. These controls of the body, mind, speech, etc. Now, vitarkavadhane pratipaksha bhavanam. Now, vitarka, in a particular sense, it is used that if you have to tackle vitarka, then the opposite type of thoughts should be brought up in the mind. This is the meaning of the. Now, what is vitarka? Vitarka is your hingsadaya. The Bhashya says hingsadaya. That means hingsa, etc. Now, if the desire to himsa rises in you, you bring in the thought of ahimsa. Then this impulse of doing harm to others, that will be curbed. That's why it is saying vitarka vadhane pratipaksha bhavam. You are angry with someone, you see. Yeah. So at that time, you must think about something which makes you happy, glad. Then your wrath will come down. It means that vitarka vadhane pratipaksha bhavanam. I say. Now, because if vitarkas are there, this himsa, etc., then your rising in yoga will be very, very difficult. Next sutra is ahimsa pratisthayam tatsannidho vairatyagaha. If you are established in ahimsa, then in your vicinity, all beings will shed their hostility. That means if your idea is that if you are established in ahimsa, then the tiger will not jump upon you. This is the idea. You say, now why you say we do not certain effect is there already, because you see this metta suttam, which is there in the Buddhist system, especially the southern Buddhists, and they very often repeat the metta suttam, which says that as mata yatanyang puttam ayusha eka puttam anurakshe evampi sabbhuteshu sabbhuteshu bhave bhave aparimanam. That means it is saying that as the mother, especially if the child is the unique child, with her life tries to save that child, so bring in that mother's heart vis-a-vis all beings, and this feeling should be without any limit. So that is a part of Metta Sutta. Metta Sutta goes like that. It is said that some of the Buddha's disciples, they were living in a place full of ghosts, and they are very much afraid. So for them, Buddha composed this Metta Suttam, and you repeat this and think like this. So if you think like this in a place where ghosts who are hostile towards you, if you are friendly towards them from your mind, it is likely that there will be an effect on the phantoms. So it is saying that, and we know in the case of Swami Vivekananda, once he and another man and a lady, they're walking in England, in the countryside, when from a distance a wild bull came rushing towards them. The man ran away immediately. Swami Vivekananda stood still and was gazing at this bull, etc. Then suddenly the bull looked at the Swami and turned away in another direction. It may be this, or it may be that Sri Ramakrishna intervened. And say, we do not know. Satta pratisthayam kriya phalashrayatvam. If you are established in Satya, then your speech will bear the fruit. For example, if you say something to someone, that will happen, which is called Bhaksiddhi. So if you are established in Satya, then this will happen. So that is why you see, when I know a case when a boy went to the Holy Mother, who was then in Benares, and the Holy Mother refused to initiate the boy, saying that this is the Benares, I shall not initiate anyone in Benares. This is the place of Shiva, and it will happen in your Calcutta. When I go to Calcutta, please see me. The boy was very much crestfallen and met M. This M, that means this Gupta, Mahendranath Gupta, who was then in Kashi, and told him about this. And the boy was a little sorrow. You see, he had There's a mind, his mind was full of sorrow. And he said that the mother refused me. The M said that no, the mother did not refuse you. Mother accepted you. And since she has said something, it will come true. You see. You see. So, you see, since she has uttered this word, this will come true. So, Sattva Patisthayam and Bhaksiddhi. And you know, in the life of Swami Vivekananda himself, it was demonstrated once in Belur Math. You see, he was seated under the old mango tree. Many of you have seen it. Just by the side of the Mott building, there's an old mango tree. He was seated under this tree on this cot, and there were many monks and brahmacharis. They were working. Some were dressing vegetables, some were bringing water and collecting it. Swami Premananda was going up the stairs with his puja vessels. Suddenly he said, here is Brahman, here is Brahman, as evident as the Amalaka and the palm. As soon as he said this, some 25 people, they went into meditation. Then after a few minutes, Swami Vivekananda again said, now go to your work. So the spell was over. So this is your Bhak Siddhi. That is, yes, there is a power flowing through your words and affecting others. Asteya Patisthayam Sadburatnu Pusthanam. If you have establishment in Asteya, which normally means you're non-coveting, you say, though the literal meaning is non-stealing, it means non-coveting. If you're established in this, then from, you say, you will have much Sarburatnu Pusthanam. All the diamonds, they will come to you. That is the meaning. Yeah. We see, for example, Sri Ramakrishna was a great yogi, and he lived like that. As within it is 40 plus 14, some 50 years. In 50 years of his passing away, a huge amount of money came, you see, unasked for the construction of the temple in his name at Belur. So she was a Swiss lady, but living in America. So she came and gave this money to a Swami. Since it was a huge amount, he did not keep it. This Swami sent it to Belur Math. And this was utilized for the great temple in Belur Math. So you see that these things come to him. You see, Sri Ramakrishna said that if I knew that the world is real, I would have gilded the whole village of Kamarpukur with the help of Mathur Babu. That is what he said. So things come like that. Brahmacharya Pratisthayam Viryalava. Now, when you are established in Brahmacharya, you have this, what they call Virya, that means the ojas, which has been described in those of you who have gone through the writings of Swami Vivekananda have seen it. He is explaining it that the libido, when it is sublimated, it is converted to spiritual energy. And this spiritual energy is called ojas. And through ojas, you have, he himself said that some 7,000 people stood up when he said, the Sisters and Brothers of America in Chicago. He said to Madame Blodgett that the power which went out through his words affected the audience. And this is the power of ojas. Aparigrahastharye janma kathan kathanta sambodha. That means when you are established in your aparigraha, in the general sense, I should say, in austerity. You see, that means you live with the bare minimum, you see, things. So when you have this, then you have this your own past, your own future, everything you come to know. That is what it is saying. So we know that yogis at a certain time come to know in the life of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. He is normally referred to as Chaitanya Deva. You see, he says, Advaite Galadhari kahen barangbar punah je karite lila shivavar. Again and again, embracing Advaita, he says that I will come again to have my divine sport. So, you see, the yogis come to know. Sri Ramakrishna said that he would be born again in the northwest direction. So, this is due to their yogic power, whether it is a parigraha or not, that I do not know. But Patanjali says that it is due to their austerity that they have this. Now, let us stop here. If you have any questions, you can raise the questions now. You can ask me the questions, so you have to unmute. Hello. Anyone? Any question?
Hello, Swamiji. This is Raju speaking.
Yes.
As usual, I'll ask a question. So there are so many questions, but anyway, this one, Swamiji, as a basic rule, there are so many people doing so many different things in this world. For example, there are soldiers, there are policemen, there are all kinds of people in this world with different professions. Is yoga as a philosophy, as promoted by or as explained by Patanjali, is it beneficial for everyone?
It cannot be applied. You see, for example, the question of himsa. If it is a soldier, he cannot have this ahimsa. You see, soldiers have another duty to their country. So, see, as Swami Vivekananda has pointed it out, that you see, the dharma of the householder and dharma of the sannyasin, there is much difference. You see, there is much difference. So, if you see, you have to. So that's why in India they have the idea of dharma according to varnashrama. You see, so which varna, what is your profession? So according to that, the dharma, Raja dharma is there. You see, so and that idea is there. One should not, you see. This is mainly for those who are trying to progress in the spiritual path.
Yeah. I have one more question, Swamiji. Is there a good definition in the Indian scriptures of truth, of satya? What exactly is satya? Because a lot of times satya is more. It depends so much on individual.
No, Satya is, you see, Satya, this which we are talking about Satya, it is in a common parlance as is Satya, the truth. But philosophically, truth something else. Philosophically, truth Satya, you see, that's why Brahman is called Satyasya Satyam. The truth of truths is Brahman, because in philosophy, especially in Advaita system, the idea is that anything non-eternal is not really truth. You see, it is untruth. It is a kind of illusion, because it will pass.
Exactly.
So that is, I say, that's why the idea of Vyavaharika Satya and Paramarthika Satya. And then is another Pratibhasika Satya. That means you are, for the time being, you are seeing the snake and not the rope. So this is Pratibhasika Satya. And what we are normally in the phenomenal existence is Vyavaharika Satya. You are taking things as different. You see, you are taking the world, the universe as multifarious. That is one type. But there is a higher truth when your mind comes to a very high level, concentrated, etc. You understand this, that there is nothing but unicity in the whole universe. So that is the Satyasya Satyam. So that is but here it is this Satya is in the Vyavaharik level.
Okay.
I see. But if you do not keep this Satya, you cannot go to the higher Satya. If you are if you are a liar, if you are trying to cheat people, etc., etc., you cannot have a yogic your lift to the higher Satya.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Swamiji.
Okay.